June wiped the sweat from his forehead as he walked through the crowded alien market. The air was thick with strange smells and the noise of 100 different languages. Tall purple tents lined both sides of the dirt path. Aliens of all shapes and sizes moved around him, some with too many eyes, others with skin that changed colors. This was the Edge Market, the last stop before the empty parts of space. June came here often to trade things he found during his work as a space salvager. Today, he hoped to find spare parts for his ship. Human, come see my rare items, called a green alien with 4 arms. June shook his head and kept walking. He didn't have much money to spend on useless things. The old canteen hanging from his belt bumped against his leg. It was his grandfather's, from the days when he fought in the Lunar Wars. The metal was scratched, and Korean letters were carved into the side. It was the last thing Jun had from his family back on Earth. As he turned a corner, he saw a small crowd gathered around a tent at the end of the row. Curious, Jun moved closer. Inside the tent, a tall alien with orange skin was showing off his products. Most were animals in cages, but one cage held something different. A small female alien sat inside. Her skin was light blue and seemed to shine like water. Her eyes were large and completely black. Her hands were tied, and she sat very still, looking at the ground. Last item for today, the seller shouted. Rare Viridian female. Good worker, learns fast. Starting price is 5,000 credits. June frowned. Slave trading was illegal in most places, but here at the edge of space, rules were often ignored. He watched as buyers offered prices, but none seemed high enough for the seller. The blue alien suddenly looked up. Her eyes met June's. There was no fear in her gaze, only a strange calmness that didn't match her situation. Something about her pulled at June's heart. Before he knew what he was doing, he stepped forward. I'll trade for her, June said. The orange alien laughed. What could a dirty human like you offer for such a rare specimen? June's hand went to the canteen at his belt. It was precious to him, but something told him this was important. He unhooked it and held it up. This, military issue from the Lunar Wars. Over 100 years old. The orange alien took the canteen, turning it over in his hands. The Korean letters caught the light. What do these marks mean? He asked. They say remember who you are, even among the stars. My grandfather's words, Jun replied. To his surprise, the alien's eyes widened slightly. Interesting, he muttered. Then, louder, deal accepted. Take your prize. The crowd murmured in surprise. Some laughed at the strange trade. June ignored them as the seller opened the cage and pushed the blue alien toward him. What's your name? June asked her as they walked away from the tent. The alien didn't answer. Maybe she didn't understand his language. I'll call you Mara, he decided. It was a simple Korean name that meant country or nation. I'm June. He led her through the market back to the small landing pad where his ship waited. It wasn't much, just an old salvage vessel with a small living area, a cargo hold, and a cockpit. But it was home. You're free now, June told her as they entered the ship. I don't believe in keeping anyone captive. Once my ship is fixed, I can take you wherever you want to go. Nara looked around the ship carefully, her black eyes taking in everything. Then she looked at June and gave a small nod. As June prepared for takeoff, he didn't notice the slight smile that appeared on Nara's face as she watched him work, or the way her fingers traced a strange pattern on the wall beside her, a signal that would be recognized by others of her kind. He had no idea what he had just started. June's small ship hummed quietly as it floated in space. After leaving the market, he had set course for the repair station on Moonbase 7, 2 days away. Now, 6 hours into the journey, June slept in his small bunk. In the dim light of the ship's night cycle, Nara's eyes snapped open. She waited, listening to June's steady breathing from the other side of the thin wall. When she was sure he was deep in sleep, she moved. Her body changed. The soft blue of her skin darkened to a deep midnight color. Her fingers grew longer, with sharp points at the tips. Her black eyes now glowed with a faint blue light. This was her true form, not the weak captive she had pretended to be. Nera moved silently to the ship's control panel. Her fingers danced over the buttons, bypassing Jun's simple security measures. She activated the hidden communication system and sent a short burst signal into deep space. The message was brief but clear. Target acquired. Location tracking active. Begin the hunt. Far away, in a sector of space unknown to humans, a massive warship received her signal. Its black hull was covered in strange symbols that glowed with the same blue light as Nera's eyes. Inside, dozens of blue-skinned aliens stood at attention in a large command room. At the center, seated on a raised platform, was Commander Tejo. His skin was darker than the others, and scars crossed his face and arms. Around his neck hung a collection of small items, trophies from his hunts. "We have received word from Scout Nera," Tejo announced, his deep voice filling the room. "She has confirmed the capture ritual has been completed." A screen showed Jun's small ship moving through space. "The human took the bait," continued Tejo. "He has claimed our scout as his own, not knowing our ways. By the ancient laws of the Viridian hunters, he has marked himself as prey." The crew cheered, their voices blending into a chilling war cry. Tejo raised his hand for silence. "This human showed interest in a royal scout. This is rare. He must be worthy prey. We will follow tradition. He will be hunted, but with honor." He turned to his second in command. "Set course for the human ship. We hunt tonight." Back on Jun's ship, Nera returned to her bunk. As she changed back to her more peaceful appearance, she thought about the humans sleeping nearby. Most prey ran or begged when the hunt began. How would this one react? The thought made her feel something unexpected, a small bit of regret. She touched the spot where Jun had removed the fake restraints from her wrists. He had been gentle, even offering her his food when he thought she might be hungry. "No matter," she whispered to herself, "the hunt must happen. It is our way." In his sleep, Jun turned over, dreaming of home and family. The canteen he had traded had been his connection to his past. Now it was gone, and in its place was a new path, one that would soon turn dangerous. Morning cycle came, and Jun woke to find Nera sitting quietly in the small cooking area. She looked the same as yesterday, small blue-skinned, with large black eyes that watched him carefully. "Did you sleep well?" he asked, not expecting an answer. To his surprise, she nodded. "You understand me?" Jun smiled. Another nod. "That's good," he said. "We'll reach the repair station tomorrow. It's a friendly place. You'll be safe there while I fix my ship." Nera tilted her head, studying him. If only he knew that safe was not in his future. The hunt had already begun. As Jun prepared a simple breakfast, the ship's old sensors failed to detect the massive warship that had just entered the sector. It moved silently, engines dimmed, following the tracking signal coming from Jun's ship. Commander Tejo stood on his bridge, looking at the stars. Soon, the hunt would begin, and another trophy would join the collection around his neck. The next day passed quietly on Jun's small ship. Jun worked on fixing a broken panel in the engine room while Nera watched. He talked as he worked, not minding that she didn't answer. "My grandfather was a soldier," Jun said, tightening a bolt. "He fought in the lunar wars. That canteen I traded for you was his." He paused, looking at a torn wire. "I miss it already, but I think he would understand." Nera sat on a small box, her black eyes following his every move. When Jun wasn't looking, she studied the tools he used, the way his hands moved, how he solved problems. She was learning about him, studying her prey. "Are you hungry?" Jun asked, wiping his hands on a cloth. Nera nodded. She had started to respond to simple questions yesterday. Jun smiled and led her to the small kitchen area. As they ate the simple meal of dried space rations, Jun noticed something strange. Nara was copying him. How he held his spoon, how he sat, even how he chewed. She was learning human behavior. "You're smart," Jun said. "Can you try to talk? Say food." Nara looked at her bowl. "F food," she said, her voice soft and musical. Jun almost dropped his spoon. "You can speak." "Speak," Nara repeated. "I'd learn. Quick." Over the next few hours, Jun was amazed at how fast Nara picked up words. By evening, she could form simple sentences. What would have taken a human child years to learn, she mastered in a day. "Where are you from, Nara?" Jun asked as they sat in the cockpit, watching the stars. Nara pointed to a distant part of the star map on the screen. "Far, beyond your maps. How did you end up at that market?" Nara's eyes flashed for a second before returning to normal. "I was taken," she said carefully. This was the story she had prepared. "I'm sorry that happened to you," Jun said. "No one should be bought or sold. On Earth, my home planet, we learned that lesson the hard way." He told her about human history, about wars and peace, about how humans had almost destroyed themselves before reaching the stars. Nara listened, storing every detail. Later, while checking the ship's outside hull for damage, Jun noticed a small cut on Nara's arm. It must have happened when she helped him move some heavy equipment earlier. "You're hurt," he said, reaching for the medical kit. Nara pulled back. "Small hurt. Not important." "Even small hurts need care," Jun said, gently cleaning the cut. The blood was darker than human blood, almost purple. As he wrapped a bandage around her arm, Nara felt something strange inside her chest. This human was showing care for her wounds. Among her people, showing pain was weakness. The wounded were left behind. But Jun treated her injury as if it mattered. "Thank you," she said, the words feeling new on her tongue. That night, when Jun was asleep, Nara didn't change form or send messages. Instead, she looked at the bandage on her arm and thought about Jun's stories. Humans were supposed to be simple prey, not complex beings with rich histories, not beings who showed kindness to strangers. For the first time, Nara wondered if the hunt was wrong. But such thoughts were dangerous. They were against everything she had been taught since birth. Outside the ship, silent and invisible, the Viridian hunting vessel matched their course. Inside, Commander Taejo reviewed the praise file. The human ship would reach the repair station soon. They would strike before then, in the empty space between stars where no one would witness the hunt. "Prepare the hunting pods," Taejo ordered. "We begin at the next sleep cycle." Nara sensed her father's presence even through the walls of Jun's ship. Time was running out. Soon she would have to choose between her people's ways and the strange new feelings growing inside her. The repair station appeared in the distance, a giant wheel spinning slowly in space. Jun's ship was just 6 hours away when the communication system beeped. A small ship was asking to connect. "Jun, it's me, Da," said a voice through the speakers. Jun smiled. Da was an old friend, another trader from Earth who worked in this part of space. "Docking permission granted," Jun replied. "Good to hear your voice." 30 minutes later, a small black ship connected to Jun's. The airlock opened and Dai stepped through. He was shorter than Jun, with a friendly face and quick eyes. "It's been too long," Dai said, giving Jun a hug. Then he froze, seeing Nara standing quietly by the kitchen door. "Who is this?" Dai asked, his voice suddenly lower. "This is Nara," Jun explained. "I found her at Edge Market. Some alien was selling her as a slave, so I traded for her freedom." Dai's face went pale. "You traded for her? What did you give?" "Just my grandfather's old canteen. Nothing important," Jun shrugged. Dai grabbed Jun's arm. "We need to talk. Alone." Jun frowned but nodded. "Nara, can you wait here? We'll be right back." Nara nodded, her face showing nothing. But inside, She knew what was happening. This human knew about her people. In the engine room, Dai closed the door and turned to June. "Do you have any idea what she is?" "An alien who needed help," June said. "She's a Viridian," Dai whispered, looking around as if afraid of being heard. "They're hunters, the most dangerous predators in the outer zones." June shook his head. "She's been nothing but gentle." "Listen to me," Dai said, grabbing June's shoulders. "Viridians have a culture built on hunting other species, but they follow strict rules. One of those rules is about capture." He took a deep breath. "If a Viridian is captured, it brings shame to them. And whoever captures them becomes prey." June laughed. "I didn't capture her. I freed her. By trading for her, you participated in their ritual," Dad explained. "That canteen wasn't just payment. It was a challenge. In their eyes, you claimed her, and now they'll come for you." June thought of how quickly Nera had learned to speak, how she watched everything he did. Had she been studying him all this time? "We need to get you to the repair station," Daz said. "They have security there." "Maybe we can." A beeping sound came from Daz's pocket. He pulled out a small device and looked at it. "My ship is detecting a large vessel approaching. It just appeared out of nowhere." June felt cold fear in his stomach. "How long until we reach the station?" 5 hours. Too long. Da looked at his friend. "I'm sorry, June. I have to go. My ship is faster. I'll send help from the station." "You're leaving?" June couldn't believe it. "I have a family waiting for me," Day said, already moving toward the airlock. "I'm sorry. If you survive, I'll buy you a drink." After Day's ship disconnected and sped away, Jun sat alone in the cockpit. Should he believe his friend's warning? He decided to check the ship's systems. Late that night, he caught Nera at the control panel. Her fingers moved over the buttons, sending some kind of message. "What are you doing?" June asked from the doorway. Nera turned quickly, her eyes wide. For a moment, June thought they glowed blue in the dim light. "Learning your ship," she said. June nodded, pretending to believe her. "It's late. We should both sleep." As he turned away, June made a decision. He would trust her for now, but he would also be ready. In his room, he opened a hidden panel under his bed and took out his grandfather's old blaster from the Lunar Wars. It still worked. Outside the ship, the massive Viridian hunting vessel moved closer, its weapons ready. Inside, Commander Tejo put on his hunting armor. "Tomorrow," he told his warriors, "we hunt." June woke to a loud alarm. Red lights flashed across the ship's walls. He jumped from his bed and ran to the cockpit. The screen showed a massive ship right in front of them. It was black with blue glowing marks all over its hull. It was at least 50 times bigger than June's small vessel. "Warning, unknown ship has locked weapons on us," said the computer's voice. Nera stood in the doorway, watching June. Her face was calm, too calm for someone who should be afraid. "You knew about this," June said. It wasn't a question. The communication system crackled. A deep voice filled the cockpit. "Human vessel. This is Commander Tejo of the Viridian hunt ship Shadow Claw. You have been marked as prey. Prepare for boarding." June looked at Nera. "Is this true? Am I prey to your people?" Nera's body began to change. Her soft blue skin darkened. Her fingers grew longer with sharp points. Her black eyes now glowed blue. When she spoke, her voice was different, stronger, more musical. "Yes, when you traded for me with the canteen, you took part in our sacred ritual," she explained. "I was never a real captive. The merchant was my handler." June felt cold anger rise inside him. "You tricked me." "It is the way of the hunt," Nera said. "We test many species. Few are worthy of being hunted. You showed unexpected qualities." The ship shook as something attached to its side. The sound of metal cutting through metal came from the cargo bay. "They're boarding us," Jun said, grabbing his blaster. "Why tell me all this now?" Because you deserve to know, Nera replied. You treated me with kindness. This is rare. I am conflicted. Conflicted. June almost laughed. They're going to kill me. Not necessarily, Nera said. If you survive the hunt, you earn your life and status among our people. No human has ever done this before. The door to the cargo bay opened. 6 tall Viridians in black armor entered the ship. Their skin was darker blue than Nera's, and they carried strange weapons that hummed with energy. One of them stepped forward. He removed his helmet, revealing a face marked with scars. His eyes glowed bright blue, and around his neck hung a collection of small objects. Trophies. Father, Nera said, bowing her head. June looked between them. Father. The commander ignored June and spoke to Nera in their language. She answered quickly, gesturing toward June several times. The commander finally turned to face the human. I am Taijo, High Commander of the Viridian Hunt Fleet, he said in perfect human language. And you are June, salvager of Earth origin. What do you want from me? June asked, his hand tight on his blaster. To hunt you. Taijo replied simply. My daughter tells me you are worthy prey. The canteen you traded held significance. It was a warrior's tool, carried through battle. This impressed us. June glanced at Nera. She had returned to her smaller form, but her eyes still glowed faintly. I never agreed to be hunted, June said. You participated in the ritual. That is agreement enough. Taijo answered. He pointed to the blaster in June's hand. Will you fight now? It would be a poor hunt. June knew he couldn't win against 6 warriors. He lowered his weapon. What are the rules of this hunt? He asked. Taijo smiled, showing sharp teeth. You will be taken to the moon of the nearby gas giant. You will have a 6-hour head start. If you survive until the next sunrise, you win your freedom. Nera stepped forward. Father, I request permission to prepare him. Taijo's eyes narrowed. This is unusual. He freed me with honor. He deserves an honorable hunt, she argued. After a moment, Taijo nodded. Very well. Prepare him. The hunt begins at moonset. As the warriors left to prepare their hunting gear, Nera turned to June. I will help you, she whispered. It is the least I can do. The Viridian ship was huge inside. June followed Nera through long hallways with blue lights that pulsed like heartbeats. Warriors stopped to stare at the human as they passed. Some touched the weapons at their sides, eager for the hunt to begin. Nera led him to a small room with a single window showing the stars outside. We have 4 hours before we reach the moon, she said. I will teach you what I can. June sat on a bench against the wall. Why help me? Won't your father be angry? Perhaps, Nera said, but you showed me kindness. That means something, even to a Viridian. She sat across from him. Most prey runs. Running is the wrong choice. What's the right choice? June asked. Think differently. Understand us, Nera explained. Viridians respect strength, but also cleverness. For the next hour, Nera taught June about Viridian hunting practices. They hunted in teams of 3. They preferred to capture prey alive if possible. Their vision was excellent in the dark, but they had trouble seeing in bright light. What about weapons? June asked. Will I have any? You will have basic survival gear, Nera said. Nothing that can easily kill a Viridian. That would be too simple. June thought about his grandfather's stories from the Lunar Wars. Soldiers don't always need weapons to win, he said. Nera tilted her head. What do you mean? My grandfather told me how they survived when they were outnumbered, June explained. It's not always about fighting. Sometimes it's about making the enemy fight on your terms. He asked Nera about the moon where the hunt would happen. She described a rocky place with deep caves, tall cliffs, and thin air. There were no large animals, but many small creatures lived in the rocks. The hunting grounds have cameras that record everything, Nera added. The entire fleet will watch the hunt. This gave June an idea. Your people value trophies, right? Nera nodded. Trophies show our success in hunts. The greater the prey, the more valuable the trophy. And honor? Is that important too? Above all things, Nera replied. A hunt without honor means nothing. June smiled for the first time since the Viridians had boarded his ship. I think I may have a plan. A knock at the door interrupted them. A warrior entered and spoke to Nera in their language. She turned to June. It's time. We're approaching the moon. The warrior led them to a large room where Commander Tejo and 5 other hunters waited. They wore light armor that seemed to shift colors like oil on water. Each carried different weapons, some with curved blades, others with small devices June didn't recognize. The prey is prepared. Tejo asked Nera. As much as possible in the time given, she answered. Tejo approached June. Human, I will place my mark on you now. It allows us to track you from a distance. Before June could object, Tejo pressed a small blue stone against his arm. It burned for a second, then seemed to sink into his skin, leaving a glowing blue mark. Your equipment, Tejo said, pointing to a small pack on a table. June looked inside. There was water, food for 1 day, a thin blanket, a small knife, and a device that looked like a flare gun. The light shooter is for emergencies, Tejo explained. If you wish to surrender, fire it into the air. The hunt will end, but without honor for either side. June thought of his grandfather's old canteen. The Korean letters had said, "Remember who you are, even among the stars." He wouldn't surrender. I understand, June said, looking directly at Tejo. And when I survive until sunrise, I earn my freedom. The Viridian warriors laughed, a strange musical sound. Only Tejo and Nera didn't join in. If you survive, Tejo corrected. No human ever has. June picked up the pack and put it on his shoulder. Then I'll be the first. The moon was cold and dark. June stood alone at the edge of a rocky plain as the Viridian ship lifted off. The sound of its engines faded, leaving only the whistle of thin wind through the stones. June checked the small device Nera had secretly given him. It showed the moon's time. He had 6 hours before the hunters would come for him. Time to work, he said to himself. Instead of running away from the landing site, June began gathering stones and loose rocks. He piled them in certain places and arranged others in lines. He took the knife from his pack and cut strips from his blanket. Working quickly, he tied the strips to rocks and placed them at different heights. The blue mark on his arm tingled. June knew the hunters could track it, but that would be part of his plan. 5 hours later, June had finished his preparations. The landing area now looked very different. He had built small walls, dug shallow pits, and set up many markers. Finally, he climbed a tall rock formation and waited. The Viridian ship appeared in the sky again. This time, it dropped 3 small pods that landed a mile away from June. He could see the blue glow as the hunters stepped out. On the ship, Commander Tejo and Nera watched the hunt begin through large screens. Other Viridians gathered around, eager to see the human hunted. The prey did not run far, one warrior noted, looking at the tracking display. Strange, said Tejo. Perhaps it has given up. Nera said nothing, but she looked worried. On the moon's surface, the 3 hunters moved quickly toward June's signal. They wore light armor and carried various weapons. Their eyes glowed in the darkness. The first hunter, named Quan, stopped suddenly. Look at this, he called to the others. The ground before them had been changed. Stones formed strange patterns. Strips of cloth hung from rocks, moving in the light wind. The human has been busy, said the second hunter. Sook. The third hunter, Mino, laughed. It thinks these simple tricks will slow us. We are Viridian hunters. They moved forward more carefully now. Quan stepped over a line of stones, not noticing the thin wire June had placed there from his survival kit. A shower of small rocks fell from above, making the hunters jump back. A trap, Suk hissed. The prey is clever. As they moved deeper into Jun's prepared area, they found more traps. None were deadly, but each slowed them down and made them more cautious. On the ship, the watching Viridians were no longer laughing. Some leaned forward with interest. This hunt was different. The human uses our caution against us, Taejo observed. It forces us to move slowly. Nera felt a strange pride watching Jun's plan unfold. Back on the surface, the hunters split up to surround Jun. His signal showed he was just ahead on a tall rock formation. Quan climbed up first, expecting to find the human cowering. Instead, he found Jun standing calmly at the top, holding a stone in his hand. "Welcome, hunter," Jun said in the Viridian language. Quan froze in shock. "You speak our tongue." "Nara taught me a few words," Jun replied. "Enough to say, I claim this hunt as my own." Before Quan could react, Jun threw the stone. It hit a pile of rocks nearby, sending them sliding down toward the other two hunters below. They jumped away, but the noise and confusion gave Jun time to slip past Quan and down the other side of the rock formation. By the time the hunters regrouped, Jun had disappeared into a narrow canyon. "He's hunting us," Suk realized with disbelief. On the ship, a murmur went through the watching crowd. Commander Taejo's face showed no emotion, but his eyes narrowed slightly. "The sun will rise in 2 hours," he said. "Let us see if the human can last that long." Nera's hand touched the spot where her father had placed his mark on Jun. "He might," she whispered. The sky began to lighten at the edge of the moon's horizon. Dawn was coming. Jun crouched inside a small cave, breathing hard. He had been moving for hours, sometimes hiding, sometimes leading the hunters into traps. He was tired, but he was still alive. The hunt had not gone as the Viridians expected. Jun had disabled Suk's armor with rocks that jammed its joints. He had tricked Mino into falling into a shallow pit. Neither hunter was hurt badly, but their pride was wounded. Now only Quan still hunted him actively. The strongest and most skilled of the three, Quan had avoided Jun's traps and followed him relentlessly. On the ship, almost every Viridian watched the screens. No hunt had ever been like this. The human moved like water between rocks, using the terrain in ways they had never seen. "He fights without fighting," one warrior said with respect. Commander Taejo stood silently, his eyes never leaving the screen showing Jun. Beside him, Nera's hands were tight with worry. "The sun rises in 20 minutes, Taejo announced. "If the human survives until then, he wins his freedom as promised." On the moon's surface, Quan finally cornered Jun. The human had reached the edge of a cliff with nowhere else to go. Quan approached slowly, a hunting blade in his hand. "You fought well, human," Quan said in his own language. "But the hunt ends now." Jun stood tall. He was cut and bruised, but not afraid. "I understand your words," he replied in simple Viridian. "And I respect your skill." Quan paused, surprised again by this strange prey. Jun continued, "Before we finish, I wish to show you something." He reached into his pocket. Quan tensed, ready for a trick. But Jun pulled out a small object and held it up. It was a curved hunting knife, one that Mino had dropped earlier when falling into the pit. "I claim this as my trophy," Jun said. "I did not take it by killing. I took it by outsmarting." These words reached the ship, where the watching Viridians fell silent. Taking a trophy without killing was unusual. It showed both mercy and confidence. Jun then said something that shocked everyone. "One who hunts with honor may become a hunter." These were words from an ancient Viridian law that Nara had secretly taught him. A law that had not been used for generations. On the ship, Commander Taejo's eyes widened. He turned to his daughter. "You taught him our oldest laws." Nara met her father's gaze. He earned that knowledge. Taejo looked back at the screen. The first rays of the rising sun now touched the rocks around Jun and Quan. "Sunrise," Taejo said. "The hunt is over." He pressed a button, and his voice reached Quan's helmet. Return with the human. Alive. 10 minutes later, June stood before Taizhou on the ship. The commander studied him for a long moment. In all our history, no human has survived a Viridian hunt, Taizhou finally said, and none has ever invoked our ancient laws. He took the canteen that June had traded for Nara from his belt. This was your first trophy, he said, returning it to June. It honors your ancestor, a warrior. Taizhou then did something unexpected. He took one of his own trophy necklaces and placed it around June's neck. And this marks you as an honorary Viridian, the first human to earn this status. The watching warriors thumped their chests in approval. Nara came forward, her eyes bright. You understood us better than we understood you, she told June. That is why you survived. June looked at the canteen in his hand. The Korean letters his grandfather had carved still read, "Remember who you are, even among the stars." Now, next to them, Taizhou had added Viridian symbols. What do these new marks mean? June asked. Nara smiled. They say, hunter among the stars. June nodded, understanding that something important had changed today, not just for him, but for both humans and Viridians. So, he asked, what happens now? Taizhou's face showed the hint of a smile. Now, human June, we hunt together.